do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the and I'm here tonight with Bruce McCurdy. A late night, Bruce. A late night because of a late start in the game. And I only have one thing to say about that game, Bruce. You live by the puck moving goalie. You die moving goalie.
Mm-hmm.
Tonight, as the Edmonton Oilers lost yet another heartbreaking, brutal playoff game where they were close to the other team, maybe deserved to win, but in the end, again, they lost 4-3 to the Los Angeles Kings. And we'll do our 2 good things, 2 bad things, and 2 numbers podcast. Bruce, what is your... Well, let's start it off with our bad things, because I just think that's the appropriate way we're going to start.
Okay. Well, David, I got to tell you, I was leaning towards Mike Smith's puck handling as being my bad thing before the game-winning goal, because I just didn't like how he was. I didn't like how he was fielding the puck. I didn't like the decisions he was making, moving the puck. He coughed it up a couple times. He passed it to a defenseman and was covered more than a couple times, and he just seemed out of sync with the confident, brash guy that we saw in April. Tonight we saw the jittery version of that guy, trying to do stuff and not executing, and not, when you make a bad decision and then don't execute, well, bad things always result from that. And of course, I'm referring to the winning goal or the game-losing goal against, if you want to look at it from an Oilers standpoint, where Smith fields a routine shoot-in with 5 minutes to go in the third period and decides, oh, this will be a good time to fire one up the middle. And I guess Leon was open outside the blue line, but the King guy was just lurking right in the slot. Oh, yeah, it wasn't like he was going to get breakaway or anything. The King guy was lurking right on the slot, and Smith put it on his tape. And then he came up with what I call the old Paul Schmier, the hero play to cancel out the wretched play that preceded it. But unfortunately, he didn't completely cancel it out, because after he made that save, the puck went behind the net, and all 5 Oilers skaters had almost seemed like no clue what to do. The whole 5 of them lost their shape, and it's one of those ones we were talking about for the scoring chances. We can either say, well, all the skaters blew it, or you can just say it was a turnover that was so egregious that the team couldn't recover from it. And I'm sort of leaning towards number 2.
I agree,
that whole
Bruce.
Play was a number 2.
I agree. In terms of blaming the other players, a play like that happens, and it is such chaos after that. You just can't. I know they're professional hockey players, but how do you get your bearings? It's just so like, what? It's like, what? And it just like scramble mode. It's just total panic scramble mode, and you're just trying to stab away the puck. And too bad someone couldn't have iced it or something like that, because it
couldn't even get a hold of it.
They couldn't get a hold of it. LA was, they just were going for it. And they get kind of a lucky goal. They get the Californian, Bruce, the goal that's killed the Oilers forever. The Californian, the outside shot that gets deflected in weirdly, killed them all against Chicago 2 years ago. And it killed them tonight, the Californian. And I hate that. I love it when the Oilers do it. I hate it when the opposition does it. Todd McClellan is a master at having his teams manufacture that kind of play. At least he is when he lives in California and coaches there.
I think anyway, it hit Dano in the cup. Like, it just came right into his hit him in the pants for sure.
Totally.
And went ricocheted into the net. But the Oilers had no one in the shooting lane, no defender inside Dano. There was, it was just a complete breakdown. They had Zach Hyman out at the blue line trying to cover both points, and Puljujärvi was down on the ice, having tried to dive to prevent the first shot, the one that Smith stopped by diving, but Puljujärvi was out of the play. Bouchard lost the battle behind the net. Keith lost positioning on Dano. It was just 5 minutes left in a tie game. Good time for that.
wasn't Smith's first mistake though, Bruce, as you say.
Oh,
Like
no,
he
he
had made one
was.
earlier, and then they had also gotten caught out by the tremendous Trevor Moore. What a player he is at this
Oof,
stage of his career, and
also,
he made an absolutely brilliant pass where he's going one way behind the net, and he quickly puts it on his backhand out the other way, and it totally fooled Smith and Tyson Berry. The Greybeards, Bruce, didn't have their veteran savvy going tonight on a couple occasions.
yeah.
I thought, this is a vet. Some of the players played well. Many of the Oilers players played very well this game. I thought there was some really great efforts in this game, and there was some solid play. But these kind of catastrophic breakdowns kept happening. Like so on the, I think it was an Iafallo who scored that one from Moore.
Yeah.
Great shot, but Barry and Smith were on the wrong side of the net because they'd been fooled by that play.
Yeah.
It happens. That was a great play, at least,
Yeah.
not a blunder, and that
Well, I
hurt.
wrote about Trevor Moore today and Dano and their usual line mate Victor Arvidsson, who did not play in this game, but Moore and Dano and the replacement Iafallo
Yep.
did a fantastic job, each of them scoring once, and Moore, who I refer to as the Pisani of LA Kings, which is a high compliment coming from me. He not only had a goal and 2 assists in this game, but he had at least 2 phenomenal defensive plays. One which definitely saved a goal when he was able to neutralize Nugent Hopkins with a loose puck in the crease, and another where he stripped Connor McDavid just when it looked like McDavid was going to break in alone on goal. And a couple of other just sort of excellent defensive plays. Besides, that guy just had a fantastic game tonight, Trevor Moore.
He's a force against the Oilers, and
Force against everybody.
very tricky with the puck, very good with the puck, very fast, smart player. Yeah.
From New Year's Day to the end of the season, they played 49 games, and he had 41 points. He had 7 points on New Year's Eve, and he wound up with 48. And he just completely turned into a player that suddenly seemed like he got it at the NHL level, and he sure got it tonight. He got the orders.
Bruce, my bad thing is some of the players struggled at even strength to get much done, and these are players
Mm-hmm.
that must come through at even strength for the Oilers to win. And
Mm-hmm.
they're three fairly big name players. Leon Draisaitl scored an absolutely fantastic power play goal and was really good on the power play, as was Nugent Hopkins. But both of them got almost nothing done in terms of creating grade A shots at even strength. They just were. They weren't a force. They didn't. They just couldn't find a way to make it happen. The last time I saw Leon against LA, he's been playing well against that team, but they had his number. RNH, he comes and goes in the playoffs. He was very good on special teams, very good on the penalty kill, but at even strength, his line was not particularly impressive. Fogle, Nugent Hopkins, and Ryan, they needed to get more done. He needed to get more done. And then there was Jesse Puljujärvi, who had a poor game. I gave him a 3 out of 10. He was on the ice for 2 goals against, got a -2 in just about 8 minutes of play. I guess he was at fault, if you want to stretch that term, on the first goal against that he was out for. And this is when the Kings broke up the ice. But he was tripped on the play, and the refs missed it. He would have been back on the back check. And I think that was Lemieux's goal, if I'm not
It was
mistaken.
a 4-on-2 after that.
Yeah. So he got tripped, and he's not there to make the play because of it. If the refs call that, maybe this is a different game. That's playoff hockey. But Puljujärvi, he wasn't sharp with the puck. He wasn't making plays with the puck. He doesn't look well, honestly, Bruce. He looks like he missed a couple games because he was ill. He still does not look.
He does not look
He's
good
like
at
he's
all.
firing on all cylinders. Go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, he just. No, sorry, I should
Oh
interrupt.
no,
But
yeah, yeah.
he does not look good at all. Like he missed a game due to, well, he missed a practice due to illness 2 weeks ago, and after that, like his he came back and he played a couple games. Then he was sick and he missed the home game that they clinched the playoff berth against Colorado. Uh, and then he missed the road trip. Like they just kept him back to get better, and they put him in for the 2 games this last weekend. And I didn't think that he shone particularly in either of them. And he'd been playing some really strong hockey for quite a long time. But tonight, and he got cycled off the top line and back on and off. But he only played, I mean, this is a guy who started the game on the first line, 7 minutes and 52 seconds. So, coach was seeing what I was seeing, and frankly, I wonder about his health right now.
I was wondering about Nurse's health as well, Bruce. He
Mm-hmm.
was struggling out there. He got, I think, on LA's first goal, he was kind of wandering around. He didn't cover anyone. He didn't look like he was sharp on his skates, like agile. And skating such a huge part of his game.
Okay.
So, all right, let's do our good things, Bruce. Now that we've done our bad things, what's your good thing?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Oilers special teams, which won their portion of this game 2-0, and that included the penalty kill, killing 4 out of 4. Mind you, they gave up 10 shots on net, and Smith probably had his best moments as part of the penalty kill. But the penalty kill also made some real good plays, some good clears, and sometimes where they even seemed to control the flow of play. They had 3 shots of their own and came close to scoring a shorthanded goal in this game. And that was, those 4 penalties was the least of Edmonton's concern. And then the power play clicked twice out of 4 opportunities, including the 2-2 and 3-3 goals. The 2-2 was scored by the second unit, Yamamoto, on the deflection towards the end of the power play. And then on the next one, there was a real weird play where Barry fired a shot that Dano blocked, but it broke his stick. So being the crafty veteran he is, he just dropped his stick right in the slot where he figured it was going to, be a disruptor. And when McDavid fired a cross-ice pass that hit the stick, but strong enough that it basically went right through it and went right to Draisaitl. I think it would have gone right to Draisaitl with or without the stick, but it did take a favorable bounce that Leon was able to control and then wire the puck home. And I would imagine that the pass getting deflected like that wouldn't have done any wonders for the goalie's timing on the play. So it worked out, but the PP came through with those 2 big tying goals, but then, of course, come the third period, no more power plays for the Oilers, and they weren't able to muster much at even strength. But the penalty kill made 2 big kills in a row early in the third, and I thought maybe they're through the crisis at that point, but they wound up losing this game at 5-5. 4-1.
It's a hard for me to pick. There was 2 forwards who really came through this game. Cutter Yamamoto and Connor McDavid. I thought both had their best, I think probably their best playoff games that I've seen them play. Maybe there's a game I'm forgetting in that 2017 playoffs for McDavid. Probably I am forgetting one. But he was fantastic tonight, Bruce. He made major contributions to 9 grade A shots. When they were down 2-0 in the first period, I mean, that's a huge lead in a playoff game for the LA Kings. And I thought, they're desperate for something here, and McDavid did it. He did what a captain and a superstar needs to do in that moment. When he got the puck in his own zone, there was 5 LA Kings that he had to beat, and he beat all of them on his fantastic rush up the ice, culminating, and as he cuts into the middle and fires the puck past Jonathan Quick, a very good shot. So that is the kind of superstar play that McDavid needs to pull off and did pull off in this game. And he was constantly setting up the Oilers' best scoring chances. He set up Draisaitl's goal. In the third period, he set up a great chance for Yamamoto, where he bursts down the wing and fires a horizontal dart over to Yamamoto, who just harpoons it at the net. And a very good chance there. I think it might have even been deflected.
Good stop, eh?
Yeah. The Kings got the better goaltending.
Yep.
Yamamoto was winning battles all over the ice, and also just very, very strong out there. But McDavid he really had a great game. And all for naught. Back on Wednesday.
Yeah, McDavid, he had a hat trick in Chicago against Chicago in Game 2, in 2020, the one game, the last time the Oilers actually won a playoff game, was a McDavid hat trick that led the way in a 6-3 Oilers win over the Blackhawks. And as I recall, at least one of the goals in that game was one of those, like the one he got tonight, in terms of he basically did it all to get the puck into the zone through 2-3 defenders by the goalie and in the net. I don't remember the specific details, but there was one of those moments in that game, and he had a hat trick. So that may be his best playoff game, but he was good tonight, and if he keeps playing like that, you'd like to think things will fare a little better for the blue and orange.
Bruce, let's move on to the numbers. What's your number?
Yeah, well, my numbers are. This pains me, man. Does this ever pain me? This is now 7 consecutive losses in playoff games by the Edmonton Oilers. Effectively, all of them were one-goal games. They had one game against the Jets, game 1, where it was 2-1. They pulled the goalie and they lost 4-1. They got 2 empty netters, and all the others literally have been one-goal games. 3 in overtime, 4 in regulation. So 7 in a row. Now, in those games, this is hard to believe, David. In those games, after the second period of those 7 straight playoff losses, the Oilers were either leading or tied in 7 out of the 7 games. Once they had a 2-goal lead going into the third period, twice a 1-goal lead, 4 times tied like tonight. And in the 7 third periods, plus the 3 overtimes, so basically the down the stretch they come of each of these games, the Oilers have been outscored by a ghastly total of 14-1. 14-1. And it's like 200 minutes of hockey, because they played 60 minutes of overtime against St. Louis, or against Winnipeg last year, including the triple overtime, of course, in Game 4. But the 3 games added up to 60 minutes and a handful of seconds. So basically, it was like a whole 5th game. Of course, they didn't score any goals in those periods, and they got 1 goal in that series in the 4 third periods. And one, Jujhar Khaira, he's the guy that was able to score. He made it 4-1 in Game 3, and it seemed like that should have been it for that game. Of course, it wasn't. And otherwise, all this high-powered talent that the Oilers have, they just can't seem to muster a goal when they super need one. And you can say, well, it's a different team, different coach, and all that's true. And yet, some of the core of the team remains, and we now are starting to have a repeat pattern of whatever it is that they can never score with the game on the line, and eventually they crack and give one up.
So it's the 7th straight playoff loss, all of them 1-goal games.
Essentially, yeah, it was. They lost Game 3 to Chicago, 4-3 after they led 3-2 going into the third and late into the third as well. Yeah. Game 4 they lost. It was tied 2-2 in the third, and they lost that one on a Dominic Kubalik goal that ended the season. And then last year they were tied 1-1 in the first game against the Jets. They gave one up in the third, and then the 2 empty netters. So you can say 12-1 in terms of real goals, but it's still not pretty. Then Game 2 was 0-0 right to overtime, and they lost. Game 3, it was 3-1 Oilers after the second. They led 4-1 early in the third, blew the 3-goal lead, lost in overtime. Game 4, they had a 3-2 lead going to the third period, gave up the lead, lost in triple overtime. Now we got tonight. It was 3-3 going into the third, an even game, and it comes down to one play, and who cracks? Edmonton Oilers. And I don't know what the thread is between these teams, but they got to break that thread and create a new. They got to weave something new and pretty, because it is mighty frustrating to get to the playoffs.
And a lot of hideous plays in there too. Bruce, I have to say you cheered me up a little bit there with your great memory work, your recitation of all those facts.
Oh man,
good work.
It's all in there, but it's all in here. I can tell you the score of most playoff games the Oilers have ever played, probably, and not certainly in the last few years. And it's a frustrating litany of tough defeats where nothing goes right and eventually something goes wrong.
Yeah, well, it started in the Anaheim series, right? Like,
Hmm.
and hasn't ended since then. Um, my my number is a little more prosaic. It's
Hmm.
6,
Yeah.
and it's the number of hits Zach Cassian had in the game, including a couple of really big hits. So there was always the narrative was Zach Cassian misses the playoff crowd, and when the playoff crowd's there, he's going to come through and throw some big hits. Hey, he did it. He came. The playoff crowd was there. He was fired up and threw some big hits, including one on Jordan Spence where he drove him into the boards.
Oh.
That was a wicked hit. And you know what? You hit like that, those kinds of hits can add up in a series, and players can get hurt, right? Like they get banged
Yeah.
up. It hurts to get hit like that, and that's what the Oilers need from Zach Cassian. And I'm going to suggest tonight they got it. Like he didn't do a whole lot else. The actual leader in the team on for hits wasn't Cassian. It was Evander Kane with 7. I don't really recall his hits as much, but he
Hmm.
won a lot of clever board battles. Evander Kane, which we noted in our scoring chance chart,
Right.
to get the
Yes, he
puck
did.
to keep the puck going. And I thought he was pretty strong. He had a really great scoring chance too, which of course Jonathan Quick stopped
Hmm.
off a McDavid feed. So um, yeah, there was some good work, by Kane, Hyman, Cassian, some of the bigger guys. Fogel had a couple hits. Um,
Hmm.
Keep that up and more of it. I just, they're missing nurses, a healthy Darnell Nurse with the physical play that he can bring, Bruce.
One
Man,
hit tonight for
man, they
Nurse.
miss, they missed that so much from Darnell Nurse tonight. He just was a shadow. Like honestly, he was a shadow of his A game. He brought his D game tonight, and it was because he's playing on one
Hmm.
leg. And I hope this gets better. Like I hope he's healing up here,
Right.
because they're not going to win with him playing his D game and leading the team defenseman. And I think he led the team defenseman a nice time. Doesn't work.
Yep.
So give those minutes to Kulak. Play Nurse 13 minutes, or and give that time to Kulak. If he can't go 100%, you got to make a tough call here. And I don't think it
Yeah.
worked out tonight.
Yeah, well, they gambled that 80% of Darnell would be enough to push him over the top, and tonight it obviously, I mean, by the score, it wasn't enough, and he was, uh, I think, on for 2 goals against. He took a penalty, but he had some good moments. He had an assist. He had four
He did.
shots. He blocked 3 shots. Well, you know what? What I saw was him. A couple times the puck got in behind him, and normally it would be a play where he just turn and go get it. No one would touch him. He just come out of the corner with the puck, and he was not necessarily getting beat to the puck, but he wasn't beating the other guy, and they were getting just there even, and then it would be a battle, and he didn't always win those battles the way he typically wins most of them. So there's probably whatever the injury is obviously. Something that he's trying to fight through. And I mean, I'll give the guy all kinds of credit. Like he gave it what he had, but what he had was less than 100% in this game.
Yeah, he's doing what he can. The coach is gambling that, you know, I don't think it was 80% of Darnell Nurse. I'm going to say it's like 50%, or
Okay.
his legs are so crucial to his game.
Yes.
His skating is what it's
Hmm.
skating. He's got other aspects to his
Right.
game, obviously, but if he can't do that, that's
Hmm.
it. Just there's one play, there was a kind of a tip shot in the first period, I think, that went on net, and Nurse was there, and he just was giving up way more gap than he would normally do, because you don't think he hit the burst
Right.
to get there to make the play. So
Yeah, well, overall the hits were 40 to 38 in this game. This was a heavy hitting game, and they were certainly counting them, but I don't think that count is too out of line. Both teams are really going at it, hammer and tongs. You know what? All the games against the Kings this year have been tough. They're all close games. The two teams scored 14 goals each in those games. The Oilers won 3 1-goal games, basically. And they, uh, Kings played them tough again tonight. And, the Oilers were were there, and they were certainly in the battle. I mean, one of the things that I've noticed that Jay Woodcroft has on his lines is he's got a grinding, sort of hard-nosed winger on each of them, left winger on the first three lines, and they have, Evander Kane, you mentioned his 7 hits, and Zach Hyman had 2, Warren Fogle 4 on the third line, and then on the fourth line, the grinding winger is the right winger, of course, that's Cassian, and he had 6. So those guys were laying on the bod consistently throughout this game and working their butts off. I mean, I'll give credit for that part. And they brought the physicality. And the Oilers, I don't think were outmuscled in this game by any means. I think that was, they gave as good as they got. But unfortunately, one thing, they gave the puck a couple of times, and that's not good.
Pain and suffering. Pain and suffering. All right, Bruce. Just one game.
Just one game, yeah. I mean, I'm not too upset. I was like totally calm all game. It's like giving up the first goal in the game. Obviously, you want to score the first goal and get a leg up on the other guys. And if you score the first goal, you're more likely to win the game. But if you give it up, it's not a catastrophe. You just have to work to get it back. And then you have to get the next goal and get out in front after that. So, of course, now home ice advantage is gone. That they worked damn hard to achieve down the stretch, but that's gone. But I'm not sure home ice is going to matter much in this series. So far this year, these two teams have played 5 games, and the home team has won one of them in a shootout, and all the others the road team won. So
I don't see home ice being a big factor in this series. These teams can win in any building, unless the referees come into play when the Oilers go to California, which has happened in the past. But I'm sure that won't happen.
Get me started. I've been calm all night until you said that.
You will have another long recitation. This one is slightly more bitter than the sad one that we just heard.
He grabbed his pad.
I know he did.
Damn it.
Sure did. I was thinking of that. What would Corey say? Imagine saying that on camera. Or on mic. Okay, Bruce, let's leave it there. Let's leave it there tonight. It's been a long night. Thanks for talking.
All right. Thanks for listening, everyone. Let's go get them on Wednesday.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.